everyone, it's Melanie Ham, and today we are going to make a crochet baby blanket. You guys love these tutorials. A few years ago I made a crochet baby blanket tutorial that 2.5 million of you have watched. It's by far my most popular project, so I decided to do a 2.0 version of that crochet baby blanket, and I'm doing this baby series to honor my best friend Ashley, who's going to have her second baby girl sometime this month. So I wanted to make her a crochet blanket. She is doing a lot of purple for her second baby girl, and so I wanted to utilize some purple, some stripes, some contrast. I wanted a more dense stitch than the previous crochet project that I did, and I also wanted to add a border because you guys are always asking me how to add borders to baby blankets, so I'm going to show you how to do that in this project. If you are an absolute beginner, you can totally do this project. Just decide beforehand that you can do it, because if you decide that you can, then you will, okay? Make sure you watch the video all the way through, and then also check out the description box below to answer any questions that you might have. So check those places first. If you still have questions, please feel free to ask me. You can leave questions in the comments below. You can also find me over on Facebook. That's a really great way to get in touch with me. If you're not sure how to find the description box, you hit show more on a desktop device underneath the video, and that will open up. If you're on a mobile device, there is a small little arrow to the right of the title of the video, and the same description box will open up. There will always be tons and tons of information in that location for all of my videos, okay? Everything will be linked, listed out. If there's any commonly asked questions, I will put the question and the answer there. You can utilize the pause button and rewind. Just go slow. If you're an absolute beginner, you can totally do this, okay? So just take some time. It's gonna have a little muscle memory to get your hands used to how it feels to crochet. It's totally normal to feel a little out of place at first. So just keep going, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you're looking for other projects, you can find on my website, melaniekaham.com, the tutorials tab has everything listed out by the type of project. And my newsletter will get you a free crochet beanie pattern if you are interested in that. For now, let's get going. I'm gonna show you how to make this blanket. All right, everybody, so we are going to be making our striped baby blanket here. Really, really easy. You need 4 balls of yarn. I'm going to show you the sizing though, so you can make adjustments if necessary. To get the striped look, you want something contrasting, so pick your own colors, but just pick something that's nice contrast. These are from the baby section, the nice thick blanket yarn. You also need an L crochet hook. This is the one I'm going to be using. All right, so now I'm going to get started with my lighter color yarn, okay? So I want my dark color to be my border. So I'm going to start and end with the lighter color so that it has more contrast. So when you get started with these yarn, you know, these balls of yarn, you want to pull out from the center. And I'm going to go nice and slow so that if any of you are beginners, you can accomplish this project. The first thing we're going to do is start with a slip knot. So tie it around about 3 fingers, pull it through, and then you're going to tug on the free end to tighten it up. Insert our hook in that loop, tighten up by pulling on the free end. That's our slip knot. Now we're going to start with our foundation chain, and we are going to chain 60. Now that's if you want your width of your blanket to be about 30 inches. If you want it to be more than that, just add extra chains. This pattern is really simple, so you can easily adjust the size. I'm going to do 60. Yarn over your L hook and pull through. Okay, a word of caution, do not make your foundation chain too tight. Okay, when you are pulling your yarn through, kind of pull this yarn out to create a little bit of space here so that it doesn't make your foundation chain too tight. That is one of the most common mistakes from beginner crocheters. So you can see with this yarn, kind of pull it out and make a little bit of a space. Because see, if it's too tight, like this, and you're having trouble even getting your, see how small that is compared to the one over here. So you don't want your foundation chain to be too tight. It will create problems for you later. yarn over. So this is our foundation chain. Okay, now continue this until you chain 60. All right, now you want to make sure that your foundation chain is at about 30 inches. Mine measured about 32. As long as you're about there, you are good to go. 59, 60, chain 1. So we'll add an extra chain here to create our turning chain. And in the second chain over, so we have 1, 2 in this third chain. So we have the loop on the hook, 1, 2, okay? So we're gonna insert and create a single crochet. Now a single crochet is insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, 2 loops. Let's try that again a little bit closer, because we're going to do a single crochet in every single chain going all the way across. Here's our next chain. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through. We have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, 2 loops. Let's do one more time. Here's our next chain over. And don't make this too tight. Just relax and let the yarn flow. Don't be too tight. Pull through, yarn over, pull through. And then when you pull through, make sure you get it all the way through and it's not like pulling or it's too tight. Okay, now we're going to continue single crocheting all the way down this first row. Here's what your stitches should look like. These are all single crochet stitches. It's the only stitch that you will need throughout this entire project. All right, so let's continue single crochet all the way down the foundation chain, and then I will show you what to do when we get to the end. Okay, here is how your first row should be looking. If your first couple of rows look like a rainbow shape, your foundation chain was too tight, so start over at this point before you get too much more ahead. You know, you kind of want it to be looking kind of straight like this. So if it doesn't look like this, you want to reevaluate. You can come ask me on my Facebook page, or you can look at my common crochet mistakes video and see maybe what you're doing wrong. But the biggest mistake is people have like a rainbow shape, and that just means that your foundation chain was too tight. Okay? So assuming you are good to go with this, let's finish up. Single crochet. The great thing about this yarn is that it's so thick, so it works up really quickly, and you can have a baby gift or something for your own baby in no time. All right, so we have our last guy here. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 loops. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, flip our work, and then we're going to single crochet in this first spot. Okay, so insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops. Now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to single crochet in every stitch going all the way down again. Each stripe is 2 rows. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time in this color in every stitch. Now I'm going to show you what every stitch looks like, because a lot of people get confused. This kind of like V shape. There's 2 strands. So this is where you want to put your crochet hook when you're inserting your hook in the next chain over, is right here. There needs to be, you see that? Okay, yarn over, pull through, do your single crochet. Next stitch over, which will be here. Make sure there's that little V shape. Okay? And now we're going to do the same thing, single crochet in every stitch going all the way down. So go ahead and put me on pause and complete that step, and when we get to the end, I'll show you what to do. All right, so we're getting toward the end here. We're going to be switching colors. Okay, so let's finish up our single crochets. Okay, when you get here toward the end, there are only 2 more V-shaped stitches here. Okay, so we have one here. There's one, and then here's one. Okay, this is our last one. This is like the little loopy guy from our turning chain. Sometimes this yarn can get like a little bit loopy. So just ignore that, okay? That's not a V-stitch. See, that's not really like, we want this guy. So we have 2 left. One. There's our last one. Okay? Now when you have the 2 loops on your hook still, get your new yarn. Okay, leave a nice 5 or 6 inch tail so we can weave that in later. And you're going to pull through with the new yarn. Okay? Now tighten everything down. So tighten down that white yarn and tighten down the purple yarn or whatever colors you have. Now taking the working yarn. So the working yarn is not the tail, right? The working yarn is the yarn that's in the ball. Yarn over, chain 1 for our turning chain. We're going to turn our work. And then we're going to put a single crochet in this first stitch right here. Single crochet. Okay. And now we're going to do 2 rows of purple. That's all there is to this blanket. It's really simple with a beautiful outcome because we're using a special yarn. And so you see how that end looks straight? If your end doesn't look straight, you probably have an extra stitch in there. So let's continue this down a little bit more so you can get an idea of how it's looking. Single crochet. Gonna get real good at the single crochet. All right, so now let's go down one more and I'll show you what to do at the end. I'll show you kind of how it's looking. So put me on pause and continue on this. You can also clip your white or whatever your first color was. You want to clip the white tail so that then that's not going to get in your way as you continue to crochet. So now we just have the purple attached. Here we are getting down toward the end. If you are noticing that these stitches are tightening up, I'll show you where that usually happens. So when you are doing your single crochet, you insert your hook, yarn over, it's at this pull through moment. Okay, if you pull through and then that hook just stays so close, you can see where there's just not a lot of room to get over to the next stitch. So as you pull through, make sure you have a little bit of, wiggle room in that stitch. That's where as you get going, you can kind of get real tight in that spot. Okay, so I'll show you again. So it's as you pull through, just make sure as you come all the way through, you have, some wiggle room in this stitch here. All right, now we're here at the end. You can see here there needs to be one more stitch there. Okay, and now we're going to See that? Chain 1, flip over, insert your hook and single crochet in that first stitch. Now here I'll show you again where that stitch is supposed to go on this purple, so because it's a little bit easier to see. It's right in here. Okay? So you can see where this stitch, it's in here. There should be a V shape or 2 strands of the yarn that you insert your hook into. It's a very common question that I get. All right, now this is all there is to your whole blanket. You're gonna just keep continuing on and do this until you reach your desired length. I will show you how I do it. We're gonna be adding a border to this if you like. Put me on pause and go ahead and finish this 4th row. So again, you're gonna do 2 rows of your white or your color 1, and then you're gonna do 2 rows of color 2, whatever that is. And then you're going to switch back, okay? So I will go ahead and finish my 4th row, and then I will show you how to change your color and turn one more time. Okay, here we are at the end, and also I have 59 stitches going all the way across, right? Because we did chain 60 plus 1, and then we did in 2 stitches over, right? So that would be 59 stitches. So I have 59. If you've made any adjustments, just make sure that each row has the same amount of stitches, and that will also help you remember and keep in mind that your edges will be straight. Okay? Now here we are finishing up our 2nd row of purple. All right, last stitch here. Okay, before you pull through, you have these 2 loops on your hook. You need to get your other color, in my case white, leave a 4 to 6 inch tail, and pull that new color through. Okay, pull down on your yarn to make sure that it's not too loopy here. Gonna chain 1, turn your work, and the first stitch needs to be right here, this first guy. And then we can trim our purple yarn. Now that's all there is to it. Keep crocheting, put on a movie, and keep working on your blanket until you reach the next step, which will be when you run out of one of your yarns. So you'll run out of your white first, since that's where you started with your foundation chain, and I'll show you how to chain, to add a new ball of yarn. Okay, this is how large the blanket is when you have used 2 of the balls of yarn. Okay, so I went ahead and did the 2 balls of yarn already. It measures 33 inches wide by 29 inches long. We're going to use 2 more because I'm going to make this quite a bit longer and add a border to it. All right, now you've been crocheting for a while. We ran out of our white yarn. We're going to do the same exact thing when we add a new color on the end. You're going to, when you reach the 2 loops on your hook, add your new ball of yarn, just like when you were changing your colors. Tighten everything down. There we go. And then you can kind of hold your strands of yarn, your tails here, along as you crochet, and then that will sort of weave them in for you. So then you're going to continue single crocheting along. Continue going. All right, now you need to have a yarn needle for weaving in your ends, and make sure it's one that has a really big eye, because this yarn is so thick that you need to be able to fit it in there. And this is the only kind of tedious thing about changing colors fairly often, is that you'll have a lot of tails to weave in. But no big deal, it's super easy. So you weave your needle, this has a blunt tip on it, so it's safe to use, and you are going to weave it in and sort of hide that tail here within your stitches. So I want to go like a few stitches down. This yarn hides the tails so nicely because it's so spongy, you don't really see it very much. Okay, so go one direction, kind of go down and around. You want to kind of change directions a little bit. Kind of go back the other direction. And just make sure that, you know, it's woven in well enough that it's fairly secure. Okay? You can come back out. Once it's secure in there, you know, it's not going to come out very easily. Then, once it's in there securely, then you can trim it and cut it off. So you're going to need to do this for all these tails. It goes quicker than you think. Okay, now we've reached the point in our blanket where we are finishing up. This is how large it is. It's a nice large rectangle, and it measures 31 inches wide by 52 inches long. There are 21 white stripes and 20 purple stripes. So I started with the whites, and I'm ending on the whites. You can see here I'm ending on the white so that when we add our purple border, we have some contrast on the ends. All right, so here we are at the end of the blanket. We've got our last stitch here. We're going to single crochet. But then before we yarn over and pull these through, I'm actually going to pull in the purple. This is about how much purple I have left in order to achieve the border. Here's our purple. We're going to go ahead and bring that in just like when we were changing colors. Let's go ahead and chain one. And then what we're going to do is right in here, we are going to start our border, okay? So we want to do 3 single crochets in this corner, because there's going to be 3 single crochets in the corner, and then 1 in all of the areas going around. So we'll do 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to continue going around all the way around the blanket, doing a single crochet border. So I'm going to show you on this side. This side is the one that's a little bit trickier, because when you go along the top and the bottom, you'll have all of these stitches that you can see very easily. But when you go along the side, it's the side of the stitch, right? So it can be a little bit trickier. So we're going to be doing 1 single crochet, and you're going to just find a good place, making sure that you have at least 2 strands of yarn. Okay, so then the next spot, let's see, maybe right here. If you have any rippling, you have too many stitches. So you need to ease up on the amount of stitches. And if you have any pulling or big gaps, then you have too few. So here's how it's looking. And we're going to do this going all the way around. So you'll find it's usually going to be at the top and the bottom where the stitches are intersecting. So 1 here, 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 here. And then if you need to add any extra ones in there to make sure that it's laying nice and flat, then go ahead and do that. See that? All right, now let's continue with our border going all the way down. And then when we get to the corner, I'll show you what to do in the corner as a refresher. Okay, so we are finishing up this first part of the border. Now I want to make sure to reiterate that you want to make sure to get more than just one strand of yarn when you insert your hook, okay? So when you insert your hook, make sure you've got at least 2 on there. That way it has a much more secure hold. Here's how my border is looking so far. Again, if you have any rippling, that means when it gets like wavy, that means you have too many. And if it's pulling at all or there's big gaps, then you have too few. All right, so let's finish this part up and I will show you the corner again. So the corner that we're going to use is right here. We're going to have this be our corner. So we need another stitch in this guy. All right, and then we need to have 3 in here to go all the way around the corner and have it be nice and flat. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. So we did 3 in the same stitch. Now we're going to be doing our border along this is actually our foundation chain. So this is the first few rows that we did, and we're going to basically do the same thing. We're going to single crochet in each stitch going all the way across. And when you get to the next corner, do another 3 stitches just like this, and you can see how it travels around the corner. Now you can just do 1 row of a single crochet border. I am going to do 2 rounds, so I'm going to go around twice to make a little bit thicker border. So I will meet back up with you when I get around and finish up the first pass of the border. I'll show you how to transition and create the second round if you choose to do so. So go ahead and finish doing the single crochet border going all the way around, and I will meet back up with you when we get back to the beginning. Okay, now here is the end of the first round of the border. I'm going to go around a second time, so I'll show you how to do that. Or if you only want to do it one time, that's fine too. I'll show you how to fasten off. So let's finish up. Okay, so you can see here there's a stitch, and then here. We want to get up to this first stitch here and then do a slip stitch and a chain 1 to make our second one or to fasten off. Okay, so let's go in here. Then let's do another one right in here just to make that transition a little bit easier. So you see how it's still laying flat. Now we want to put it, this is that chain 1. This is not actually a stitch, it's just the chain 1. So you're going to insert your hook in the top of this first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch, which just means to pull the yarn through and pull it through. Okay, now if this is the only amount of border that you want to do, that is great. You can trim your thread or your yarn and then just pull that through and fasten it off like we normally do. If you want to do another round of a border, you can chain 1. And then here is those 3 stitches, right? So we have stitch 1, 2, 3. So our 3 stitches need to be in the center one, right? So we have 1, 2, 3. So our 3 needs to be in that center stitch as we go around. So I'll show you how that's looking. So we have 1 here. And then we go 1, 2, 3, right here in that corner, and then continue going all the way around. When I get to the next corner, I will show you how it's looking. Okay, so we're down here to the next corner. Now I want to just reiterate what I was saying about those 3 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3 stitches. And so that's going to put this next corner right here. So see, this is the second stitch, and we're gonna put our 3 stitches right in here. And you can see how that's right on that corner, so right here. So let's get down there. All right, here's this stitch. We're gonna put 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3, all in that same stitch. And then we're gonna continue going around. The second round is really easy because you already have the stitches. So you just put it right in each one of these stitches going all the way around. And this is how it's looking. All right, so let's finish up this border and then I'll show you how to fasten it off and then we're done. All right, now here we are at the end of our second round of the border. Now we are going to slip stitch right in this stitch here so that we hide sort of that transition. So let's finish up. And then right in here, you can see where it starts to go up. We want to finish off right here just so that we don't have like a step down when you end abruptly. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. Leave a little bit of a tail and trim your yarn. Yarn over and bring that through. Give it a little tug and then you can see how it's much more seamless. You don't see the transition at all. Now you can take your yarn needle and weave in this end and you are done. What'd you guys think? Now you know me, I love simple projects. Like, let's not make this hard, you guys. Like, let's not take forever and a day to do these projects. We want to give, we want to share. That is what we all have in common, right? When we're making things, by far the majority of the time, it's to give them to other people. I am sure that the baby in your life that you are giving this blanket to is gonna love it so, so much. In the description box will be links for the type of yarn that I use and all of the details. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy stitching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.